I'll
Take
go
care of
for a
you.
walk around the pond with you guys too. It sounds
Yeah, there you go. You
nice
can
right
come see the pond.
now.
Yeah,
We'll kick some
we
ideas. That's the thinking loop. I love it.
that
Hi, I'm Paul Grenier. This is Whiskey and Wood, bringing the people, the stories, and the success to you. This is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and these guys and gals are out to get a piece of it. Why Whiskey and Wood? Why not?
All right, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Whiskey and Wood. We have Garrett Groesbeck out of Spanish Fork, Utah, the owner of the Stockyard Collection, premier custom furniture shop. And then also recently, didn't you guys purchase Maple something? Is that?
yeah, yep. So we recently purchased Maple Creek Mill
Yeah.
out here in Spanish Fork. Yep.
Yep. So they were another big folk, primarily slab shop.
Yeah, they were actually the sawmill and slab selling side of it.
Okay.
They dabbled with a little bit of furniture making for sure, but yeah, they were primarily the wood side of it though. Hmm.
Very nice. We see you got the iDRY standard in there, the
Yeah, back
American
there in the
flag.
back. Yeah, we kind of we're in one little corner of the shop, but
Yeah.
we're actually quite full.
Yeah.
Um, we just actually unloaded that 2 days ago to pull out what we had in there. So when we do that, we end up taking up half the shop with
Yeah.
the unloading and loading. But then behind me on this side, I can show you if you want. But we that's where we stack all the material that we sell. So
You guys are kind of bursting at the seams at that location, you said.
I know we were chatting a little bit yesterday, right? And you were
Yeah.
like, "What was on your mind?" And literally at the moment, I was thinking, "I need a bigger shop," and that's usually the main focus or main thought in my head recently, for sure. But
Yeah.
we make do for now, you
Yeah.
know.
That's what you got to do. So I guess, take me back to the beginning. I want to hear your story a little bit. Also, I'm drinking whiskey. It's earlier over
Ah,
there in Utah, so he's got
yeah, it's a
the
little early this
energy drink.
morning.
I have my
No, no,
energy drink here.
that's right. Cheers to this. Here we go.
Cheers. But yeah, take me back to I want to hear your story. How did you get into the wood industry?
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I'll try to keep it somewhat shorter, but we, my brother and I, actually started dabbling just on the side, building whatever, right? Furniture pieces, picture frames, all those kind of things. So we did that back in like 2010 is about when we started doing it on our own as a side gig. And then kind of since then, it's been a long road of just jumping shops, going back to the garage. Of course, we started off in my garage. That's how it always seems to go, right?
Oh,
So we started off in the garage and got on Etsy and did some fun things, started off in that area. We were both in the construction world anyway. So we were actually building a home at the time and doing a lot of custom work in it for that builder. And that's kind of not necessarily where it sparked our interest, but kind of
yeah.
reignited that whole idea of like, hey, we love doing this kind of stuff. Let's do it, right? Or
Yeah.
let's try to. So, anyway, skip forward a little bit. Kind of where it really started taking form was I just kind of always have wanted to run and do my own thing. So I've always had that in the back of my head ever since I was a kid. And then we started into this wood thing. I was in the home building world. And so they kind of came together at a point where I was building uh, pieces now and again, like on Etsy. We have a local thing here in Utah called KSL. So we were kind of on the KSL scene and the Etsy thing, doing a lot of picture frames and just whatever orders really we could take at the time. Jumping from shop to shop, it would be from like garage to, hey, we're making some money. Let's go jump to a shop for fun. then back to the garage because you're not making any more money anymore. And then, so we did that game for a while. And then after doing that now and again, we ended up kind of getting to a point where we wanted to not do the small little things anymore. We didn't want to do the mundane, like 100 picture frame orders.
Yeah.
We wanted to be in that custom high-end world where we're building big tables, whatever else. So we kind of made that transition, stopped doing the Etsy thing, started doing a little bit more of the actual just furniture pieces. And so a lot of it was just local, word of mouth, nothing big. Again, we were off chasing our careers, right? We were doing that. But I always had that in the back of my head though, like, I don't know, I want to do this full time somehow, some way. I love doing this kind of work. I think we can make it happen. And there were a couple times in there that I really kind of had that thought like, oh, maybe now is the time to try it. Maybe we go now. Timing wasn't right, of course. So we didn't do it, moved back to the garage, save some money again. But eventually it got to a point. So I was working for a home builder and we were doing this house out here in Utah. We have a thing called the Parade of Homes, and basically these builders get involved. They build these amazing giant homes to kind of showcase and show off a little bit. Right.
Yep.
I was working for the builder who was building this house for the parade. And, during that process, the guy I worked for hired a designer. And so I came in as the project manager to meet the designer one day. And it was kind of funny because I walked in, we saw who we were, and we were like, what? We haven't seen each other for years. So it was an old connection we made. And it was really fun to see that. But kind of from that moment on, she asked if I still did furniture. I said I did. It was just really small and on the side. And she's like, well, I've got a home coming up. Do you want to build a couple of pieces for me? And I was like, sure, absolutely. Why not? Right. You might as well. I wasn't doing anything else.
Yeah.
So this was about 2015, I would say, somewhere in that range. And we got that house done. I built some pieces for this other Parade of Home house she was doing. And kind of from there, all of a sudden, it just took that right-hand turn all of a sudden. It went from me just having maybe one or two pieces of furniture to do every once in a while to all of a sudden, she was able to kind of get me facing the right direction with the right clientele, with the right eyes, right? And then all of a sudden from there on, it was still a side gig.
Yep.
But now I had pieces, like continuing to have pieces come in. So huge shout out to her. She is amazing. Still, even today, we work together.
You can drop her name if you want.
Oh, yeah, sure. Allison Campbell. She's amazing. A lot of people out here in Utah should know her. Allison Campbell Designs. We go way back. We're good friends and we still do work together. But she's really the one that was really able to kind of put me in the lane we wanted to be in. So huge shout out to her. And yes, I do whatever she asks me to do. She gets whatever she wants. Yeah. But so that really kind of pushed that whole long few years of doing things on the side for fun to jumping shops to back to the garage. Then my wife finally kicked me out of the garage officially, said, hey, I need my garage. So I was like, all right, fair enough. But that really kind of did that. Now, for the next few years though, it was that still I was working on my career, helping these builders.
So you were still doing construction and doing that stuff.
Yeah. So I was still doing construction full time, working as a project manager for home builders. Went back and forth from custom homes to commercial projects.
Yep.
At one point flying out to Kansas City to, we had apartment complexes out there we were building. So I was very busy in that area. And my wife was working full time as a nurse. We had 2 kids. And so it was very much like this whole side furniture gig thing
was getting huge.
Was always at nights.
Yeah.
I mean, no matter how I pulled it off, it was, clock in for the night shift every time I had a piece of furniture. So I did that for years. So once I made that connection with Allison again, with that designer, it really helped me kind of start getting the eyeballs I needed for the pieces we wanted to create.
Yeah.
And then kind of jump a little ahead. We got to a point, though, it was kind of interesting how timing works out. I'm a big believer in that. And a few years went by, right? That was about 2016-ish. And then I had actually jumped another company. I went to another builder, worked for another guy. And all of a sudden, about 2020, everybody remembers 2020.
Yeah. Did something happen around then?
Something happened. I don't know, quite remember, but it was a blur.
Yeah.
Right at the beginning of 2020, all of a sudden it got really slow and then picked up really fast again. And now all of a sudden I'm working for this new guy. We're doing a lot of work. We have a lot of projects ahead of us. I'll be honest, I was making decent money, right? The whole thing. We were like, hey, this is great. This is actually, the future is looking really great in my career right now. We have a lot going on. And then all of a sudden, for the next about year, I would clock in from whatever it was, 6 a.m. to, as a project manager, you're never clocked out really, but right. So I'd clock out, 5, 6 o'clock that evening, and I'd go straight to my shop and build from 6 to 1 to 4 in the morning. And it was just one piece after another. Furniture was coming in. And I'm a big believer in not saying no to work, especially when you're trying to, at some point, hopefully make this your career. And so for about a year, I did full time in both jobs. I wasn't getting home till late, that whole story. And it finally came to a head. So about right at the height of 2020, everybody thinks the world's ending. Yeah. I had a very big decision to make at that point. And that was where I had to decide, stop this furniture thing completely, because I'm never home. Yeah. My kids are young. My wife works. Like, it's time to either pull the plug finally or go full time. Finally make the jump. So as you can see, I decided to officially make that jump. So, up to that point, it was just 10 years of grind, 10 years of side gig, late nights. And then that year leading up to it, I finally was like, you know what? I think it's time. I remember talking to my wife, and I was like, I think I'm going to do it. And she had no hesitation. At least she didn't show it, right? Yeah. She was just like, yeah, it's now or never, right? So I remember walking in to my boss at the time, and in the construction world, usually when you're quitting, it's because you're chasing the dollar, right? So you're going to the next builder to make the more money. So I remember sitting down with him, just letting him out, just letting him know that I'm giving him my 2 weeks. We're going to move on. And the first thing he asked was, wait, I don't know who's trying to take you, but how much are they offering you? Let's work it out. Right. And I was like, and I remember this being so just relieving, because I have been daydreaming about this for years. And I remember just sitting there going, you know what? I'm actually leaving to go build custom furniture for myself. Yeah. And he kind of looked at me, thought it was a joke, started laughing. I was like, no, really, like, I'm not going to work for another builder. I'm not working, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, wait, you can make money doing that? And I was like, we'll find out. I have no idea. But we're going to see if we can do it. Right. And he kind of just said, yeah, I can't argue with that. Right. Like, I get it. I was like, and I told him too, I was like, and it's not chasing money, by the way. I'm going to make a very big pay cut here. Yeah. So don't worry. But anyway, so I made the jump, and I know this long story long, right? But I finally made that jump. I remember driving out of that parking lot the last day. I gave him that 2 weeks. I appreciate the guy, so I gave him what I needed to. And I remember driving out of that parking lot and just I took a couple photos, right? A video of me driving out, the whole thing. And I'm just like, it wasn't, there was no nerves. There was no, I'm scared. There was no like regrets. It was just like like just my shoulders were light. Felt like there was just this big, like, okay, here we
Yeah.
go.
That's
Now
what I
it's
was going
time
to
to
ask.
actually go
Like,
work.
was it nerve-wracking leaving that steady
Sure.
consistent? But I'm sure you had a lot of nerves getting up to that decision, but once you decided, there had to be some peace to it. Like,
Oh, for sure.
yeah.
Yeah. There was, my wife and I were actually doing a, a program at the time. She's big in the fitness world. We love doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But we were doing this program where we were doing a 45-minute walk every night. And I remember it was during that time too. And so we would have these conversations and these chats about it. And,
Yeah.
you know, sure, there was a little bit of nerves on my end initially going like, oh my gosh, that thought is in my head that I'm actually going to do this.
Yeah.
But then after that, I was fine. You know, it was just that, yeah, like you're saying, it was just like, you know what? I made the conscious decision, even though I haven't done it yet. I'm good. Now, my wife, on the other hand, of course, she's a little bit more nervous than I am. But I'm also looking at years and years of just like, this is what I wanted to do.
It's your life's work, really.
Yeah. Like I've been building this thing since 2010. Like all I wanted to do was do this full time. And now I finally have made that decision. Let's do it. So for me, it wasn't much any nerves, but when I left that parking lot, man, it was an awesome feeling. I was like, I can't believe after all these years, all the companies I've worked for, all the shops we've jumped, you know, all that kind of stuff, I finally was able to pull out of there. Man. But so went full time doing the custom furniture thing 2020. And so far still the best decision I made.
Yeah.
So I'm happy that I made that decision, or at least everything lined up right. The stars aligned, as they say, for me to just make that jump for sure.
That's such a great metaphor for like life and also this business, because it's not always linear, right? You started out building stuff, moving into a shop, and then you go back to a garage, right? You always think it's this next step, next step, next step, next step to success, but really it's getting ahead, falling back down, refiguring it out, making changes, and of course a whole bunch of hard work. When two jobs to make this happen, and then you need the little bit of luck. You got to meet the right person to put you in front of the right products and the right clientele. And
yeah, absolutely. I'm a definitely a firm believer that hard work pays off for sure. I'm a huge hard work guy. Like that's ingrained in my brain. Like all I know how to do is just work, right? I know how to work. I know how to work hard, but I'm also a believer in that, like being able to visualize and dream, and to a point where if you can combine those two together, that's where those lucky moments come into play, right? So some of us call us luck, some of us call it, you know, just whatever it is. But I believe if we put that hard work and you have that dream and visualize where you want to be, and those two mesh together properly, things just start to plug in.
The luck always increases when you're hard working.
Exactly. Yeah, those levels kind of keep going up if you can just stick them all together, you know, fight through the not fun stuff, right? There was a lot of up and down, you know. I kind of think back on it all the time, you know, and I'm like, God, it wasn't just like you were saying. It wasn't just like a gradual up slope. It was like up, down, up, down, up, down. Sometimes a bigger down, sometimes a bigger up. It was never just like a straight shot. I mean, I went back and forth my garage 3 different times. You know, we finally got to a point where, you know, we thought we were going to go full time. Then we got kicked out of that shop because the guy wasn't supposed to have us there apparently anyway. That was the whole thing.
Yeah.
To going, well, it's now or never, right? So, and then here's the other thing, right? Since then, there's still ups and downs.
Yes.
It never stops, right? So
that's being your own business owner, running a small business. That's and you just keep grinding and adapting and
Mhm.
changing.
Right.
But now look at the stockyardcollection.com. I spent some time on that
Sure.
website. That's beautiful. The work that
Oh,
you guys
thanks.
are doing, the custom pieces. Uh, that's awesome. And
Yeah.
what would you say for other aspiring or furniture guys like you who are working out of their garage? Uh,
Mhm.
did meeting with that designer, did that help you like get a handle on what people are looking for? And like, did it help you design furniture differently, or was she
Sure.
just used your expertise and fit it to her projects?
Oh, great question. Yeah. So I think what it did, yes, to answer it simply, yes. I think what it did too was it allowed me to, yeah, see what people were looking for, and see what people are willing to essentially eat, like pay for, essentially, right?
Yeah,
So,
right? Yes.
like everybody's got a different market. Every state, everybody's got a different set of people and way of living. Designs different from state to state too, right? So it really helped me grasp, okay, this is what we're doing. Being a part of that parade home too helped at the same
Mhm.
time. So we saw a lot of those higher finishes, what people are looking for, what people are really liking. Because we've always, we went full custom, right? So I'm a full custom furniture maker. So we do all the woodwork, we do all the metal fabrication, leather, inlays,
All of it.
epoxies. Like I'll use whatever we need to do to build this piece of furniture, right?
Yeah.
So we kind of went like hard that way. But we do get to now see what the trends are just because now we work with not just her, we work with quite a few designers now and home builders that we have to keep up with the trends, as in they'll come to me essentially and just say, hey, this is what we're looking for. Can you build it?
Yeah.
But it does help me play into what I do on my end a little bit, right?
Yep.
So working with them, it's great because they're like, hey, right now people are really liking this, or hey, you built this piece of furniture, it's awesome, but what if we did a little bit of this or that to it,
Yep.
and it will fit this house in particular, right? Every house is different, everybody's style is different. And so you'll take those little small design aspects that people are using and really like right now, and then just add the stockyard flair to it, as I tell my guys, right?
Yeah.
we got to keep it stockyard, but we'll follow trends as we need to, right? But yeah, working with the designer, so the guys that are still in that garage stage, let's call it, right? Or smaller shop, or just doing it as a side gig. I think for me, I realized the biggest thing was just reaching out to those people.
Yep.
Right. So now I feel like now, especially right now, it's a lot easier to reach out to people. Social media is huge, all that kind of stuff. Back in 2010, there was some social media, but believe it or not, I didn't have any of it. So, I just barely got my own X account like a year ago. Right. So
Yeah.
it nowadays it's a little bit easier to reach out to people than I feel like it was. But finding and reaching out to these designers and home builders to either one, figure out what they're looking for,
Yep.
or show them what you can do. Just say, hey, here's my style, here's what I do. Some are going to like it, some are not going to like it. It's just the way it is. But yeah, I would say reaching out, and for me, reconnecting with her was a big deal for us because it really kind of showed us what's at least possible, right?
Yeah.
Out here in Utah. Utah's kind of known, I don't know if you know this. Utah's kind of known as the DIY state. So like everybody and their dog want either knows how to or wants to know how to do everything, right? So everybody's a woodworker out here.
Yeah.
Everybody's a carpenter, everybody's a painter, which is great. I love it. I think everybody should have and do their thing. But it makes it hard for the market because, you know, people post stuff on KSL, but when you go to KSL, this website, basically classifieds website, they expect it not to be expensive.
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
so it's hard, so there's that lingering. So it running into the designer and realizing, oh, there is a market. There are people that are willing to pay for higher end custom furniture. So
Yeah.
yeah, it definitely helped out for sure.
Yeah. Your network of people is important in life in general,
Yeah.
whether it's going down a different career path or expanding your business. So anybody who wants to do this as a full-time job, put yourself out there, reach out to people. Like you said, get in touch with designers, show off your
Hmm.
portfolio of work. And it is getting easier these days with Instagram and Facebook and places like that. Um,
Right.
I'm like you. We just had our little technology stumble getting onto our Zoom
Right.
meeting. And when I started at iDRY, I thought Instagram was for where girls shared pictures of their food and stuff like that.
Right.
Man,
Right.
but
For
we
sure.
have,
That's how it started, for sure.
you know, but now it has become such a strong business tool to get in
Hmm.
front of so many like-minded eyes and people who are interested in what you're doing.
Oh, for sure.
It is,
100%. Yeah. And that's the thing is I actually listened, I've listened to all the podcasts on your end, and, it is interesting to hear some of these guys talk about that, right? Where for the first while, it was word of mouth, right? And then
yeah.
all of a sudden it was word of mouth and just social media. Like that's how we were getting all of our work. And that's how it was for me from 2020. In the first 3 years after that, it was just social media and word of mouth. Like that's all I used. I actually didn't even have this website that he pulled up. Like I was so far behind the times on a website and all the legit
Yeah.
grown up things, but yeah, it was just solely off of it. And even now, right, I get a lot of feedback from people. I get people asking for, estimates or ideas or questions over Instagram. That's where we're heaviest on right now.
Yep.
But it's such a huge tool. Like it's silly if nobody has, like if you're a woodworker or any kind of trades or anything,
Yeah.
and you don't have social media or at least an Instagram or something set up for it, you're missing out on a free platform that's, can reach out to anybody, right? Anybody and everybody. So, yep.
Can we talk about, you know, drying wood and how
Yeah,
the vacuum
absolutely.
kiln kind of affected your business and yes, if you want to jump.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's actually kind of a, unique story, maybe a little bit, right? So I started off as we know now in the furniture side of it first, right? So I'm a furniture maker by heart, and that's where it all started. Uh, Growing up, right? Everybody wants to be a firefighter or a police officer. I've always wanted to be a lumberjack. I've always wanted to be the guy that cuts the wood and makes the things out of the wood. Uh, I always wanted a sawmill. Like I daydreamed about sawmilling all the time. I thought it was so cool. I wanted to build my own house with the wood that the whole
Yeah.
thing. And so I had that dream my whole life, and it became a very big item on my vision board when I really went full with my furniture thing. I always knew one, I needed to scale my business to a level where I see it, where I want it to be. And I wouldn't be able to do that solely with just custom furniture pieces.
Yeah.
You can only do so many by yourself, first of all, but then you can only do so many pieces of furniture a year. Uh, but the sawmill was always on that vision board. And 3 years into me going full time, I went to my local supplier where I would get my lumber from, or my live edge slabs more directly. And I remember going in there to pick up a slab one day that I had purchased for a job, and walked in. And I remember just walking in, and I just got this like vibe and feel from him for a minute. Like just business maybe is rough or something. Like the
Yeah.
shop unfortunately was looking a little rough. Things weren't going. I don't feel like going as smooth as usually, and you could tell something was on his mind. So I just asked him, simply just said, "Hey, is everything all right? Like everybody good?" I've known him for a while now, and he just kind of turned around and looked at me and said, "You know what? I think we're actually going to sell the business."
Oh,
And I remember looking at him like, "What? What did you just say?" Like
yeah.
these are guys that I thought would never sell ever. And I remember just looking at him like, "Oh, really? Are you serious?" He's like, "Yeah. And you were actually one of the two people we were going to ask if you would be interested." And I'm just like, deer to headlights. I was
Yeah.
like thrown off, and I'm looking at him, shaking my head, yes. And in the back of my head is, I can't even afford double ply toilet paper right now. Like what, how am I going to buy this business?
Yeah.
But I'm shaking my head. Yeah. I want to buy it. Right.
Yeah.
And so I looked at him, I said, all right, do me a favor. Give me just a couple days. Don't talk to anybody. Give me a couple days. Let me do our thing. My wife and I went on that, like I mentioned, our walk around the pond. We live around the pond. And I looked at her, I said, so this happened today. They want to sell the business. And I don't know how exactly it went, but you could pretty much tell that she just looked at me and goes, oh boy, he has that look in his eye. Yeah, she knew exactly what I was about to say. So long story short, I eventually bought Maple Creek Mill. So that's how Maple Creek Mill came about here at Stockyard. So went through the whole process. We bought the entire business from A to Z, top to bottom, and just almost couldn't believe it because I was like, hey, I have visioned this forever. And again, here's where hard work and dreams and visions start to just give you options. Yeah. And here I am purchasing the entire thing all at once. I thought I'd have to grow over time, buy the sawmill, start with that, but was able to do that. And now here at our location in Spanish Fork, now we have what we just call everything from A to Z. We could take a tree from someone's yard and build a piece of furniture out of it, but we offer all the services in between. So my sawmilling is a service, the kiln drying is a service, the selling of the wood's the service. We build custom furniture, but we also help in between those projects too. But what it really did was open up this whole new world for us, right? So now I can start plugging in all these things that I've just always wanted to implement. The having our own lumber was huge. I like, it's actually still one of my favorite things about this whole idea that I can sawmill, dry, and have my own lumber. So we use it all the time. And the sawmill and actually the kiln have been huge assets to the business. Huge. We were talking the other day, you and I.
Yeah.
I'm just dying to have my second kiln here.
Yeah.
We need it really bad. And two, it would just help us continue to serve people around this area. People love it. People are super excited that we offer that here. But not only that, we offer, because of using the iDRY, we get to have better quality, right, material coming out of that thing. And so it's been huge for the company. It's been one of the best assets of it. It's been super fun for me to be able to go to the sawmill, grab whatever lumber I either want or the customer needs, bring it down, throw it in the oven, and then just within a few weeks have beautiful lumber ready to go.
Yeah, and you can see, I bet when you're peeling those boards off, you're already picturing the piece of furniture and how beautiful
it's the best.
And
it's the best.
So you're living your dream. Would you say you're living your dream right now?
You know what? As cliche as it sounds, and as stressed as I am all the time, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I can't say I'm not, right? Yeah. I mean, I am. I'm literally doing what I've always dreamed and hoped I would be doing at some point. Sure, I'm almost, I turned 40 this year, but I'm like, I'm okay with it. Yeah. Now I get to spend the rest of the time doing exactly what I was hoping to do. And this is just like phase 2. Like I've got some big dreams for our company and I've still got a very large vision board. Yeah. And we are just hoping to continue to expand and to just offer more for people aside from just what we have in this little shop. So hopefully this year we'll be in our bigger shop. We'll have our second dryer. We'll have our second sawmill, all kinds of fun stuff coming. So,
well, we surely have enjoyed following you guys and seeing the work you guys put out. We show your content all the time. And I have no doubt that there's going to be some big things coming for the Stockyard Collection.
I hope I did okay. Did I do okay?
You were awesome, man. You were freaking awesome. This is what I was going to say. This is one of my favorite ones I've done in a long time.
Yeah, my wife will attest, and actually my guys will attest. I actually had to kick them out. So I sent all three of them to this delivery today because
Yeah.
I was like, hey, you guys go. I told all my customers show up after 11:30, 12, you know, but they'll attest that I get real passionate about it
This
all.
is
I mean, it's my dream, it's my life. I'm trying to build this business and this brand to help people. And man, I could talk for hours. So
we
I'm glad if I need to shut up, you can just say, hey man,
no,
keys
that
up.
was perfect. And I do hope to get out west sometime, and I would love to come in and see you guys
Sure, man. I'd
and the
love it.
furniture. My dreams to own one of your tables at some point. So
Hey,
um
we can make that happen.
yeah.
When we get into our next shop sometime this
Right.
year, we'll start scheduling something for you to come out. We'll
Yeah.
take care of you. We're big foodies. We'll cook you up something real nice.
Awesome.
We'll take
I'll go
care of
for a
you.
walk around the pond with you guys too. It sounds
Yeah, there you go. You
nice
can
right
come see the pond.
now.
Yeah,
We'll kick some
we
ideas. That's the thinking loop. I love it.
that dude. I'm not kidding you. We yeah, my wife and I have spent many of hours walking around that pond and just dream talking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Stress talking, dream talking, family talking.
That's it, man. You're living it.
And yeah, I can't complain. Like as much as obviously running your own business is a stress
It's
bomb.
hard. It's never easy.
It's not easy, but if it was, everybody would be doing it.
Exactly.
So you got to have you have to have passion, but you also have to be a little crazy to do it.
You gotta be that.
So I think I have a little bit of both. So
That's perfect.